It is time.
Shark's in order. Our shark.
There's a Sharknado coming.
Dragon sharks?
Are those sharks with laser beams attached to their heads? Welcome to the Sharks.
Hello, welcome to Real Sharks, episode 41. Today the guys discuss Norsemen Season 3, the darkest film in Disney history, and what the hell is DragonBall Evolution. Enjoy.
You heard the lady. It's the Real Sharks podcast. What's going on, everybody? And we just wanted to discuss some announcements before we move forward with today's show. Welcome to episode 41. Episode 40, we did movies banned by other countries. Seemed to be a big hit with everyone. Thank you for the love, and we're glad you enjoy it. That one can tie into our the CIA in Hollywood, which was another episode we did that is quite popular. Apparently you guys like when we do the government in our movies kind of conspiracies. So, thank you all for that, and we will look forward to doing more of those in the future. We just wanted to make some quick announcements here on the show. Our store is open again. That's the Jagged Tooth store. And you can find that at realsharkstalkshow.wixsite.com. Again, that's realsharkstalkshow.wixsite.com. And I wanted to throw a shout out to Chris McBrien, TV Turner's podcast. Of course, our homies over there at Cinema Recall. The Pretendium Compendium. I like that Twitter handle. Of course, our good fan, Jimmy Evans. Mike, and Oscar, our good friends over there. We haven't thrown them a shout out in quite a while. Hey, what's up, guys? All the podcasts at Podcast HQ, like Crazy Ant Media. Love those guys. Of course, Sherlock Lester Video and George, a.k.a. Spike Green down under. And a shout out for Bando S7 and Samuel Foster. And for my last announcement, so we can go ahead and move forward on this episode, we need your help. Basically, we need to afford renovations for our new studio. So we're asking for donations and any kind of help. You can find us on Patreon, and you can also find us on the support links that are going to be down below these videos. Any little thing will do. We would like to bring Real Sharks to you full time, so if you enjoy the show and you want to help produce the show, please, send us a donation. Anything helps. Alright, let's get started with this episode.
Where to, miss?
To the stars, Bowen. To the stars.
And let's kick things off by cueing that review button. I'm going to do a review on Norsemen Season 3. That's right. So, as everybody knows, Norsemen is a Netflix show. It's been on now for about, 5 years now?
Yeah.
It's been 2 seasons. We reviewed the first 2 seasons. It's very dry parody of the Vikings show, if it's close to anything. But it's very dry humor. I try to introduce it to Mike here on the panel. He hates it, which is fine.
I wouldn't say I hate it. I just, it was okay. Just okay.
Yeah. It's not for everybody. But, I wanted to get to Season 3. I actually finally got around to watching it, and I gotta say, while I did enjoy the humor, I was a little disappointed. I don't know about you guys. I was actually a little disappointed, because instead of getting a continuation of the story, spoilers, because Freya ends up dying, and then Arvid and them are going to the country in the west, England, to settle, you never get to see, what happens. What's the continuation with that story? Instead, we get almost, it seemed like what was cut of the first 2 seasons made into a 3rd season. And I'm not trying to be mean, and it was funny, but the only reason it was funny, it was because we already knew who the characters were and how they were introduced. But I actually think the show succumbed to one of the jokes that one of its own characters mentioned in it, which was he said poop and fart jokes are the most lowest class of jokes because they're hurtful and they don't have layers to them. And I was like, that's exactly what happened to the show. It went from being really clever to being like, oh, haha, Like, there was some real, I did enjoy Yarvark losing his hair.
I thought that was a little
For a man who has long hair, I understand.
but, yeah, okay, but
about that, I think that goes in with the poop joke because I actually didn't like that because it was so just on the nose.
Yeah.
They went hard with that joke, and I was like, okay, we get it. You know,
Yeah.
male pattern baldness, it's whatever. I don't know. I mean, it was funny, right? Like, for the first, 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're like, the joke is still... And that's what I felt like. I felt like on the... for Season 2, for me personally, I felt like that's where they met their stride, and that's where they were kind of hitting with a lot of characters.
Mhm.
But at this one, like you said, Rob, I don't know why. It's just like they would say something, and it would be a joke, and I would be like, wait, was that a joke?
Yeah, yeah,
was
right,
that,
yeah.
serious or something?
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. Were they trying to drive the story, or were they trying to be funny?
Yeah.
I didn't understand it. Maybe that's why I just didn't like it as much as Season 2.
Or you mean Season 3?
You didn't like Season 3.
I didn't like Season 3 as much as I liked Season 2.
And you know, I came to this realization because after I watched the last episode of Season 3, my expectation of this season kind of fell short.
Yeah.
Because in the past 2 seasons already, they can only keep going higher and higher with how they did the story. But with this season, they just seem to want to make more jokes than do an actual story to it.
Yeah.
And that's what really disappointed me the most is all jokes, not too much story to it. And okay.
On the nose jokes, too.
Yeah, really? I kind of felt bad for the guy losing his hair. But alright, can we move past this?
Yeah.
But no, and we're gonna keep up these ball jokes.
I don't know. As a guy, as I said, with long hair, I think it was great. He's just like, they can tell a man by the length of his hair. He's like, he's like, when we get back, I want the brushes ready. I want you to try new hairstyles when I arrive. But what joke was great though, and I don't care who you are, anybody who's ever been a fan of any kind of medieval battle, and you always hear them growl up the other side. Come on, that joke was funny when he just starts calling to him across the battlefield. He's like, shh, shh, I can't hear what he's saying. Everybody be quiet. And he's like, wait, he's responding. He's responding. They probably just be in the middle. So while I enjoyed the first 2 seasons, and I did enjoy this season to a degree, I will say I think it fell short for what I expected Norsemen to be.
Do you think that they spend a lot of time and money in the production?
I personally think, and again, we're just going off of speculation here because we have not dived deep into it. Like I said, I wonder if COVID played a part in this whole thing. Because like I said, it really seemed like a lot of cuts from the first 2 seasons just made into a prequel. Yeah. It really did.
It did.
I mean, they were we didn't really need to hear that whole story about Orm being the log shitter, whatever guy, the guy who was spying on everyone.
That was filler.
Yeah.
That was filler. But maybe you're right. Maybe something happened. I don't know. But man, the more you say that, I don't know. The more I am kind of getting a little more convinced about that because I'm like, there were some episodes that I was just like, oh my god, it's going on so long, and I'm like, it shouldn't feel like that. And I just didn't even pay attention. I came in, I'm like, oh, that was funny. One thing.
Yeah.
And then I would wait an episode and a half for another funny to happen, but it would be so quick.
Even some of the jokes, and we're gonna wrap it up here. Was Rufus, for example. You saw Rufus when he was high and mighty, and it was not even that funny. It fell short too. Just Rufus and his expectations of when you got to see him before he was a slave. When they invade that castle like they do in Vikings, and they kill all the monks.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that was them trying to get to the niche because they have an audience now in the U.S.
Yeah.
Maybe they were trying to get both the people from Europe and.
I thought
US.
They were just trying to make more Viking references there. The show, because that happens in Vikings,
I thought they were trying to make too many Viking references.
Yeah. But how much can you do that while trying to make it serious and funny at the same time? It felt like, which is just was weird. It was a weird combo.
Okay. So who's got some movie news today?
Oh man, there's plenty to talk about.
Mike, what do you got? You're quiet today.
Alrighty, the first one I have is that Tig Notaro is going to replace Chris D'Elia in the new Zack Snyder Army of the Dead zombie film.
Ooh. It's going to be a Netflix movie?
Yes. Yeah, it's a Netflix direct.
Interesting. That's going to be interesting because I would have thought Army of Darkness would have been a direct-to-theaters kind of production because Army of Darkness is so big. But then again, Netflix has done this quite a few times with when they revamp movies.
Well, it's Army of the Dead, so it's like a new story, new zombie movie by Zack Snyder. He co-wrote it, but yeah, obviously Crystalia has the underage.
Yeah, I like Zack Snyder.
Yeah, it's Zack Scandal, so everybody's trying to stay away from him.
Why do you call him Zack Scandal?
Zack Scandal?
Yeah.
What? No, Crystalia has
Oh, okay,
has a
okay.
Scandal, yeah.
I thought you were saying Zack Snyder's name is Zack Scandal. I was like,
Zack
damn! I was like, he's calling out Zack Snyder right now.
That cuts.
Yeah, I know you're not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder, but I like Zack Snyder. But he's failed to me though in recent memory. He's in Ridley Scott's team right now for me.
He's a fine director. He just needs someone to give him better scripts, and he shouldn't write them.
Yeah, and when it comes to Ridley Scott, someone asked me just the other day, like, do you like Ridley Scott? And I was like, yeah. The problem with Ridley Scott, they asked me who's better, Christopher Nolan or Ridley Scott.
Oh.
That's what they asked me, and I actually, from me and Mike's talks off air, I was like, Christopher Nolan. I was like, I like Christopher Nolan, but his characters are very shallow. I was like, there's no they only scratch the surface all the time of all of the characters. They're very plain, they're very bland, and when it comes to Ridley Scott, I was like, he just doesn't fucking care about history at all. I was like, he will find a story, like, if it could be the Salem witch trials, and he will turn that into some kind of 1970s disco knockoff or something like that. There's something weird like that. He just doesn't care about it. Look at 1492. I mean, that movie is an insult to history, and even Gladiator. Now, Gladiator gets a pass because of how good it is, but Gladiator on a historical perspective is absolutely crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, but it's like Braveheart. The only, Braveheart just needs dragons in it and make more sense. But
I loved a lot more.
That's what I'm just saying, and that's another movie too. And I know we're getting off that, but that's a movie I think, and I want to ask before we move on, is do you guys think Braveheart's losing its luster over the years?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Why?
Because, first off, the length. I don't think a lot of moviegoers are wanting to watch that type of length because it's a slow burn movie, and it takes a little bit for you to get to know the characters. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of that. There's a lot of the turning of the tide of the woke culture in movies, and the movie is a bunch of white guys and white girls. I don't know if there's an audience for that anymore.
I mean, it's a historical film.
It's a historical film, but
supposedly,
yeah. I mean,
historically,
not even that.
A little bit. I mean, they didn't show how he should have died.
You know what's the only real true historical point in that movie is when they talk about William Wallace is over 8 feet tall. And he's like, yes, I've heard. Kills men by the hundreds. That myth is actually directly out of the book. And that is the only real historical reference that makes sense because the whole story's a myth.
Right.
They don't even know if William Wallace actually existed. But
he's a mythological character, yes, which is why they didn't include his.
But what I'm saying is this idea of him being with the the French the King of France's daughter when she was married over to the King of England, she would have been like 13 years old then. Yeah. So
that's where they're like, let's brush that up a little bit.
For having pedophile affairs with 13-year-old girls, I don't think I just think many people just when they see it I would say Mike, have you ever seen Braveheart?
Yeah, but it has been 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
It's been a long time.
Let's just say, though, for argument's sake, when you watch that movie, wouldn't you say it's like every single, almost Disney-based story you've ever seen about the guy who doesn't want to fight no more? He just wants to farm. He just wants to live life. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes in and forces his hand.
Here comes the Great War to force him out of his
Yes.
That almost sounds like another historically inaccurate film about a patriot that didn't want to fight.
Hey, he screamed. I was surprised. I'm surprised he didn't scream freedom. Yeah. And I thought he was gonna scream freedom when the flag. When he was wearing, yeah.
He should have gone.
Freedom. I thought he yells freedom.
He yells, "No retreat!"
Yeah, that's what he yells.
Okay, I thought he yells freedom.
Nope, no retreat.
Yeah, The Patriot's another movie that's an insult to history, but still good because it gets a pass because it is good in some aspects and then bad in a lot of historical aspects.
Yeah.
But back to the news at hand. So what's the relevance of all that though? What's the impact of that?
Well, it's just a replacing of a huge character. Obviously, Crystalia's career has kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
He's, accused of some sexual misconduct. He's gotten dropped from his agency. that movie's being reshot, and I believe he had another Netflix project that is also canceled.
Yes.
What's he in trouble for?
I believe it was old Snapchats with underage girls.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
God. Well, I don't want to say anything, and speculation. I mean,
all
I was just saying, people. Rob Lowe came back. I hate to bring that up.
And people don't bring that up. So
Rob,
Rob Lowe had a scandal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, Rob Lowe had a scandal back in the day. He got in trouble with underage girls.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Oh, well, you just brought it back up.
Sorry, Rob.
This was before the internet. Everybody is.
Rob's taking out Rob's. That's not good. Sorry, Rob. Maybe we'll edit that out. Hey, don't even get me. See, Steve's freaking out because don't even.
You just opened up a can of.
Don't.
I've already approached him once, and I just said straight up to him, look Mike dead in the eyes. This is how we met, I think. And I looked him dead in the eyes, and I was like, "You do know Highlander's like the greatest movie of all time, right?"
Scotland with Highlander and Braveheart. There's a certain Scottish actor in that.
Sean Connery. And there's the music. We'll take our first break, and we'll be right back.
Hello, potential listeners. My name is The Vern, and I'm the host of the Cinema Recall podcast. On most shows, myself, along with some great guests, we will talk about a movie and then some of the most iconic moments that happened in said movie. On top of that, you'll get bonus shows where I will give you short reviews about new and classic movies, or I'll just rant and rave about something going on in the entertainment industry. So come check us out. We're available on Anchor, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, most other places. Don't forget to follow us on social media. On Twitter, we are at cinema_recall. And then on Facebook, Instagram, we are Cinema Recall Podcast. Don't forget to email us your ad spots to play on future episodes. That email is cinemarecall@gmail.com. Hope to see you around, and thank you very much for listening.
This is the Nostalgunk Podcast, where one person's junk is another person's childhood. I'm Matt McGraw.
And I'm Kyle Smith. Join us each week as we take a deep dive into your pop culture consciousness and discuss everything from movies, TV, music,
Cartoons, toys, video games, and more.
and we want to hear from you, so connect with us. Nostalgia means so many different things to so many different people, so share with us your favorite piece of nostalgia.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at NostalJunkPod, and you can subscribe to us on all the major podcast platforms. Let's get this thing up to 88 miles per hour, and we'll see you next week.
And welcome back to the Real Strikes podcast. What else we got today, guys?
Oh gosh! So you guys remember that old trilogy of Scream, right?
Oh yeah.
Great film. It's coming out with a 5th installment starring
Courtney Cox. Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
David Arquette are coming back in this.
Oh, David Arquette is coming back.
Yes.
At first he wasn't.
He was not. He was not. Apparently they had signed some type of agreement. It's supposed to be scheduled, quote unquote, because of the pandemic of 2021, and they just signed their starring role in Melissa Barea as their lead. Guys, is there a market for Scream? I know they have the MTV show, The Scream Queens. They have an actual TV show of Scream. I don't know. Is it even worth it in this era? Because there's not a lot of horror films being released.
You know, sometimes some things become so old they become retro, and retro is cool.
Is Scream retro?
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic that Scream is the retro, which it made its money off of?
Would you say Scream's retro now, Mike?
Absolutely. It's 24, 25 years
25,
old.
96 is when it came out.
Yeah.
And people love it, man. I mean, people still watch the original one. I mean, you know, and there's still a lot of fan theories that come out of the third one and the fourth one. I like Scream. I mean, hell, I thought it was good for when it first came out. I thought it
Scream 4.
No, not really. I actually didn't. I don't think I've seen past the third one. No, wait, yes, I have. I did see Scream 4. Yeah, I thought it was okay, but they kind of pointed towards Sidney being like the next killer, which
from the trailer and how they made it look like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I enjoy Scream. It was definitely one of those meta kind of movies where it incorporated all of these realisms of horror movies, like don't say I'll be right back, and this person has to die and never have sex, and all these rules about horror movies. Yes, I mean, it did change horror movies for. It did. It was a huge movie when it came out. Scared the crap. I'll just be honest. Scared the shit out of a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I definitely think Scream is still has a market. I think there's still an audience for Scream, especially just because
in the day of the internet, though, with like Skype and Snapchat and Instagram, they're gonna have to get around that. Where it's like, how can you scare somebody when they can just go online and Google and do that? So we've seen a lot of like scary movies now. Like there's like movies called Unfriend that have to deal with like
Truth or Dare.
Yeah, Truth or Dare. Like a lot of social media movies that have like scary aspects to it. So I'm wondering how will Scream,
because it's such an older kind of perspective.
Yeah, they trope off of older horror. So what will they do about, because they can't trope on themselves?
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's understandable.
So what will they do? Will they attack the new generation in a way where it makes sense, or will they attack themselves?
Like how the black guy doesn't die in the movies anymore.
Yeah, like the black guys used to die,
but they survived now.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
and they survived because of that trope.
Yes.
So like, what will they do now to make that? Because Courtney Cox and David Arquette, two older
I think people
actors,
will see it just for them two as well. They they used to be married, so
they
it's
used to be married.
they're gonna have to trope off of that. Like these old fogies are still in a movie with horror, so I don't know. Maybe it'll become more comedy based.
I don't think it'll be comedy based.
Well, go ahead, sorry.
But I'm gonna talk back to what you were talking about, technology, and I've actually watched the television version of Scream, and they do incorporate the internet and technology and all that kind of stuff in the first two seasons. When it went on to season 3, I believe BET picked it up, and they kind of twisted it on itself with the story, and I actually liked season 3 for what it was. I liked it, and they were still able to use technology with a twist with that too. So with Scream 5, I think you can work with them using technology, because in 4 they use technology with video cameras and the voice changer being an actual app.
Like, I don't know. I feel like they should start it off. Like,
have they revealed any of the plot yet?
No plot has been released. It's just they're kind of concerned about
what if
COVID.
What if the plot is the killer is no longer hunting them, but they are hunting the killer because they want to be famous again?
Which would work.
Because in their universe, they're famous for writing books.
Yeah.
Courtney Cox's character was famous for writing a book.
And what's the now?
What if
thing?
the rest of it is her hunting the killer down?
Trying to be famous as like a quote unquote like.
And then at the very end, David Arquette is the killer.
He's the killer.
That would be an interesting twist.
Kind of like what they did.
Or they're both the killers.
Oh.
That would be the twist.
Because they do the double killers.
I actually think they would flip it in a way. I actually do. I see that coming.
Do the twin killers again?
I mean, they definitely could. It's a possibility.
I see that coming.
It's a tired franchise 5 installments in, so why not do something new and fresh and
flip it a little bit?
Turn our heroes into villains.
Well, there was supposed to be a 5th when Wes Craven was still alive, but when the 4th came out, and I think it was like a year later he died.
Yeah, he passed.
They didn't know what they were going to do. So they put Scream 5 on the shelf until they were able,
to resurrect Wes Craven from the grave.
Glass Production bought the movie rights to Scream, and they're going to try and make this. And I got to give them props for buying the rights to Scream, because, like I said, the television series kind of brought the whole entire franchise back to life again, and now we're getting this movie. So I am definitely excited for seeing Courtney Cox and David Arquette back together on the screen. I honestly, I wonder if Neve Campbell is going to come back in some kind of role, or if it's just going to be like a...
She's been quiet on a lot of things. She was even tapped to come back for the Craft movie, and she was like,
she
no.
Said no about that. So that's why they brung in this new actor who's supposed to be Melissa Barrera, who's supposed to be like the Neve Campbell of this one. And they did say that she is going to be that. It's a new installment of the Scream franchise horror. where a woman returns home from her hometown and will try to find out
Ooh.
who is committing a series of vicious crimes. So
Because she is committing the
she's the one
series.
who's doing it on behalf of them.
But that's definitely going to be a plot point because they're going to be like, you just moved here, and all of a sudden, all these killings are happening.
That's funny.
Yeah, we're good at plots.
Same podcast.
Yeah, there we go. We just wrote the scripts.
What do you got today, Squid?
All right. Well, I'm gonna go with a Disney twist. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but the co-directors of Atlantis: The Lost Empire, they actually just spoke out not too long ago, telling people that they don't want to see the movie be made into live action.
They're going to make a live action, or they're thinking about it.
No, they're not. They're putting this whole entire theory to rest about this actually happening.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, good, because I don't think they need to make a
Live action version
of a movie that didn't do that well to begin with.
No, it bombed in the box office, but from the years prior, I mean, it's kind of developed cult
following. Yeah,
I
get that
kind of feeling. I love the movie. I got to see it in theaters. I just don't want to see this movie get made into live action. There's no need for it. I mean, it's a nostalgic movie now.
Wah, wah, wah.
I know. Wah, wah, wah. Somebody call a ambulance for me.
Yeah, please. Somebody get Squid another tank, because he's filling up his with tears right now. Salty tears for Atlantis. I don't know. Did anyone like that movie? I didn't really care for it. I mean, who liked it?
I've never seen it.
No.
You never seen it?
You've never seen it, really?
No, I just was like, I didn't really care for it. It was just whatever.
It was kind of like one of those Disney. It was like Hercules. It was like, it was okay.
I don't think people cared about it. It was like Treasure Planet. You guys remember that one?
Well, that was the biggest bomb in like Disney history.
History, because they spent all that money.
Yes. Well, there's a story behind that actually. The guys who made Aladdin are the guys who actually made Treasure Planet, and they kept coming back to Disney and saying, "Hey, can we do these projects?" And they're like, "No. First, make us a movie that makes some amount of money, and we'll let you do that." Then they're like, "Okay, well, here's Aladdin." Then they were like, "Okay, make us another movie that makes enough money, and then we'll do the same thing." I think they did Beauty and the Beast before that. I could be wrong. Sorry if I'm wrong on that. But basically, then they said, make us one more movie, because they kept wanting to do Treasure Planet. Every time they kept coming pitching Treasure Planet. And then finally, they were like, make us one more movie that's the most marketable movie of all time that will touch millions and millions and millions of people and cannot be anything but a box office success. No kind of offensive material or anything. And then they made Hercules. And at that point,
1997, and they were like, okay.
Everybody was like, it was okay. And then they came back and was like, okay, let's make Treasure Planet. They're like, did, and it went bombed.
And they had a really rough 2000, Disney did, because they had, like, obviously Atlantis, then they had Treasure Planet, they had that movie Brother Bear. They did
Oh, God.
There was a lot of movies at that time where people were just like, what is
that was
Disney
Disney's,
doing,
definitely a weird time for Disney. That was until Pirates of the Caribbean actually saved them there. But yeah.
Time to hit home runs and keeping them afloat.
Yeah, right.
I'm actually looking at the movies that they did.
There you go.
They actually did The Great Mouse Detective together. They did Little Mermaid.
Mouse Detective lost out to Don Bluth's American Tail. We've talked about that.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
So as well, that wasn't a great success.
But it's a cult classic, I think.
Oh, I love
the
Great Mouse Detective, but you have to look at it in the term of the time it came out. It bombed compared to American Tail. This is when Don Bluth was starting that revolution against Disney, and he was destroying Disney.
Yeah.
So.
Like you just said, I love The Great Mouse Detective. I mean, a great kind of a twist, Sherlock Holmes and Watson. I mean,
Basil of Baker Street.
Yeah, I mean, hell, if you just look at the cast too for that time, Vincent Price.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably like my favorite movie he ever did.
Again, just for our audience, Steve brought up a really good point that I always love to talk about with people. It's like a fun fact with Disney, because people think Disney is all about family-friendly values. They play physical contact, and trust me, they know how to do it, because for many of you, those who don't know, there is a rumor that Ratigan is actually meant to portray Don Bluth himself in the film.
Yes, I'm so glad you brung that up.
Yeah, we talked about that last time, and how, because the idea is that Don Bluth made his movies with mice. And Disney was basically saying, it don't matter how many times you make a movie with mice, you're always going to be a rat. That's what they were basically telling him.
Yes.
Because he was a rat that was obsessed with being a mouse.
And then what's his whole thing that he hates in the movie? He's just like, what did you call me?
Yeah.
You're you know what I mean? So and then and what does he do? Like he's one of the most ruthless villains Disney's ever had.
Right, again, yeah.
Next to Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh God, right.
It was Disney had some really dark characters, but Rattigan actually.
Don't even get me started on Hunchback of Notre Dame. I could talk about that movie that is one of Disney's darkest movies ever.
If you don't believe us, please go back and watch it. You're gonna be like,
I
love this film.
Hellfire!
Yeah.
God. I mean, Mike, have you seen Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Not in 20 years.
Go back and watch that movie, my friend. You're going to be like, holy crap, this is a dark film.
Yeah, if you're really isn't it just about a hunchback? No, it's about a man's obsession with a woman. And
not only that, but there's so much innuendos that people don't pick up on. Like, for example, the main hero, the guy who's supposed to be in love with the gypsy. Forget his name. Everyone, if you guys know his name, please tell me. But basically,
the gypsy's name?
No, the guy who's the soldier. Who's the captain. We'll be right back on our Real Sharks.
Hi, my name is George, aka Spike Green. You may remember me for shouting out Real Sharks podcast over at the Film Geek Collective. Basically, anyone who supports us at all gets to be part of the collective. No money required. If you want to learn more about film, if you want to learn just a whole bunch of tricks and tips and stuff, and just various things about film, I am like a go-to guide. I hope to be a go-to guide. Now, if you want to check out the Film Geek Collective, the link is anchor.fm/George-D2. Alright? Well, I guess I'll see you guys there, and thank you, Real Sharks Podcast. Keep listening to them too. Thank you so much. You're always welcome at the Film Geek Collective, and don't you forget it.
Hey folks, Rob here from Fat, Drunk, and Stupid. And what is that, you ask? Well, aside from 3 words that describe my life, it's a podcast. We talk about food, fun, fellowship, movies, books, video games, pop culture, and much more. Also, some very interesting guests and some awesome stories, and of course, some cold beers along the way too. So look us up on Twitter at FDS Podcast 7 and look for Fat, Drunk, and Stupid wherever you find your favorite podcast. Thanks for listening.
And there's the music, and we're back. Yeah, no, but Frollo, man, I mean, he is one of the darkest freaking characters ever created in Disney. I mean, Hellfire is a crazy song, but what was the soldier's name, though?
Calvin Klein.
Yeah, Calvin Klein. If you listen to his dialogue when he's talking to Frollo, he talks about how he just got done killing a ton of gypsies. Yeah. And then when he sees the one Jasmine he's in love with, he's like, oh, Esmeralda, whatever. He's totally into her. But what, same Disney princess, whatever.
He came back from a mission of destroying them.
Of genocide.
And then all of a sudden I got one more left for you.
We're supposed to just kind of get behind this guy because all of a sudden he's in love with the main character? Or one of the main characters?
Yeah, one of the main characters.
Yeah, well, for you, Squid, that's okay, but some of us have morals here, sorry.
Yeah.
But Hellfire is one of the darkest songs ever done. For those of you who are like, why do you keep talking about that? Because that's the lyrics of that song. He is talking about how he is a servant of God and how basically temptation is tempting him. And he basically says, if I can't have her, then screw it. I'll kill her.
I'm going to burn her. And I'm not going to just burn her. I'm going to burn her in front of a crowd of people.
In front of a crowd.
And then blame it on, she's just not, her faith isn't strong enough.
Exactly.
She's the devil.
He was like, if she doesn't serve me the way I want to be served,
he starts questioning God. He questions God. It was crazy. He's just like, why did you give me such temptations that I can't overcome? Mm-hmm. It was, and then
and when all the judgments around him, he's like, it's not my fault.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's him. Obviously, he's insane because a guard comes in the middle of the song is like, oh, there's people downstairs, and he's like, "Get out, you idiots!" And then the guards was like, "This dude is."
I'm gonna go a little
crazy.
farther here. You know, his interpretation of a character is the exact personification of, you can say, fascism, authoritarianism, all that kind of crazy, genocidal kind of idealism. That's all that encompasses.
Because he was like embodying all. He was a count, so he
Yes.
was like embodying all that is
Power, corruption, everything. Yeah.
The theme of the movie was sanctuary. Like, this is your sanctuary, Quasimodo. You cannot leave your
Yeah.
sanctuary.
Yeah.
I am your protector, basically. Like, I am God to you. You
That's
know
true.
nothing else, but I am God. So he's untouchable. So this one lady he can't have. He's just like,
Burner.
burn the hell out of her. And what's gonna happen to me? You know what I mean? It's like he kills Quasimodo's mother.
Yeah,
In the beginning,
cold blood.
which, by the way, guys, I don't know if Disney doesn't say anything. He actually was like kind of coming on to the Quasimodo's mom, was like, hey, you know, like, I'll save you if you kind of like be with me. And then she's just like, get away from me, freak, and like, oh, you don't want to be with me? Just kills her. He's just like, I'm gonna kill this freak too. Yeah, so
Mike's mind is totally warped right now. He's like,
I'm like, I gotta really rewatch this movie.
yeah, dude. No, it's dark. I mean,
it really is.
I used to. You can ask Steve. I mean, when we started Real Sharks, I used to have a very down opinion about Hunchback of Notre Dame. I never cared for it as a Disney film. I was like, oh, you know, I've seen that, but I always brushed over it. I think it's sad because the guy doesn't get the girl, whatever. It's not a typical Disney film. It's not happy. But when I rewatched it, I was like, wow, this is some dark tones of a dark century on this dark film.
It's a dark ending.
It's a dark ending.
Get the girl.
He doesn't get the girl.
That was the first ever, besides Mulan, where there was no like princess or anything. This is the first time where the good guy saves the day, doesn't get the girl, doesn't get the acolyte. She goes with the guy who committed genocide. He's like a sub character, and he's left to be like, well, I'm back to like being myself of hated and no one likes me type of deal.
They accept him at the end, but you know, I remember when I watched this movie, I fell in love with Disney movies after I saw this movie. Like, I remembered every single line. After I saw it, my folks thought I was crazy and weird.
Yeah.
It kind of started my love for movies at that point. But you know, I just pulled up the lyrics for Hellfire. The second verse starts like this: "It's not my fault, I'm not to blame. It's the gypsy girl, the witch who sent this flame. It's not my fault.
It's
in God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
He made the devil so much stronger than man.
man.
Hellfire! Hellfire!
And then like there's a scene there's like a scene where he's looking in the fire and his eyes are like turning green in fire.
No, and he said, I can see her in the flames. I see her raven hair.
Yeah, I see. That's one of the first verses.
Yeah, I see her raven hair. Yeah. I told you, Mike, go back and rewatch that movie. You're going to be like, wow, guys, that movie's dark.
It really is. You know, kind of close to the end of the second verse is, destroy Esmeralda, let her taste the fires of hell, or else let her be mine and mine alone. Oh.
Yeah, pretty crazy movie.
I love that movie.
You know, it's because it comes down to adaptations and how good they can actually be sometimes. Because everyone knows that The Hunchback of Notre Dame is, Disney's version is an adaptation of a real story. It was actually made into a black and white movie, I believe, in 36 as well, done with Lon Chaney, the makeup master himself. But it always comes down to adaptations, and sometimes adaptations can just be bad.
1939.
Thank you. But just real bad. And, we're going to talk about an adaptation that we've been kind of hesitant to go for, but, we're like, hell with it this episode. Let's go ahead and talk about it. And everybody, go ahead and grab your Dragon Balls, because it's going to be one of those nights. And we're going to talk about Dragon Ball fucking Evolution. You can't even put the original Dragon Ball Z music onto this because it's so horrible. I'm going to try and find the actual music. Let's see. God. Hey, that was cool, the American intro.
Yeah, American intro is
awesome. Cool. So let's go ahead and talk about Dragon Ball Evolution. Supposedly, Dragon Ball evolved. Apparently there's no type of, in hindsight, this movie didn't know that Akira Toriyama would commit, what would you call it? Cartoon genocide, cartoon suicide on himself? Because he had this movie to do it for him.
Oh, definitely.
And now he's at the forefront of killing it himself.
He's the one who stabbed it at the end.
Yes. So it's kind of funny that this movie killed Dragon Ball in theaters, and then he kind of killed it in the anime himself. So, anyway, let's talk about Dragon Ball Evolution, starring Justin Chadwin.
Yeah.
The very movie that made me hate the name Justin Chadwin.
Oh, yeah!
And Emily Rossum.
Yeah, he grew a beard to separate
And who played Master Roshi, Squid?
It was Chow Yun-Fat.
Yep, from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
And we got
the guy who's basically in everything. He's like the Samuel Jackson of
martial art movies.
Yes, he is. Yeah, basically. Don't mean to be mean, but yeah. So let's go ahead and get started here. We start out with Goku basically in high school. Okay, that's the end of the podcast episode. So Goku in high school. What?
Yeah. I know that.
Okay,
really
so let's. People are gonna go, God, you guys are nerds. Yeah, well, we gotta break it down here. You had a pure, good-natured character who was stupid. That's what Goku is. He was a wild kid raised in the wilderness. To put him in high school is to defeat the whole point of the pureness of him. That whole idea that this guy is the pure, good-natured hero that doesn't know any better, just knows how to do good. I guess you could say almost like a lobotomized Superman in a way.
Right. No, Rob's right.
Right. I'm just saying. If Superman, they're basically the same origin at this point, thanks to Akira Toriyama. Yeah. So Superman, I guess you could say Superman and Goku. Who? It doesn't matter. Talking about the same guy apparently. But Goku in high school, that just totally defeats the whole purpose of this idea of Goku being a pure kind of character. I mean, did anyone like that transit? Let's just go around the table. Who liked that idea? I mean, who would have started the movie like that? Anybody?
No.
I thought it was the dumbest thing ever.
Birthday.
He was given a Dragon Ball.
That pissed me off even more.
Yeah, he's 18. He's very old.
Why is he, shouldn't he be fighting Piccolo at the World Tournament, which is at the end
Yes,
of Dragon Ball?
That is actually what he would have been doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Why is he starting high school or starting?
I mean, he's in the middle of high school at that point.
And then you had Piccolo, who, was Piccolo, I guess, without
he was good. He
was okay.
All right.
But then he had Mai. WTF? Mai? Pilaf's Mai?
Pilaf's Mai.
Pilaf's Mai.
Why is she old?
Why is she hanging out with Piccolo to begin with?
Right? That made no sense to me.
There's nothing I don't even know.
As you can tell, our audience, we are stunned just talking about this film. I mean, and we're not even... This is the beginning.
We're not even halfway through the movie yet.
So, you had... Krillin wasn't there.
That pissed me off.
Krillin wasn't there, of course, and Krillin's a, essential part of Dragon Ball.
He's an essential part of Goku's origin story.
Yes, he is. He's an essential part of Dragon Ball Z. Without Krillin, Goku never would have gone Super Saiyan.
That's true.
Right?
Just saying, just being ultra nerd here. Krillin wasn't there. You had Goku basically just doing, I don't know what you'd call them, wait, they called it airbending.
Yeah.
That's right. It was called airbending in this movie.
Yeah, that's right.
I almost forgot that.
You had Master Roshi, who lived in Brooklyn, New York. Not an island.
Yeah.
He lived in Brooklyn, fucking New York. What? Okay, so he lived in Brooklyn, New York, and he showed him how to do the airbending, including the Kamehameha. And then he told the story about how Piccolo and Urazu tried to take over the world. Let's just stop it right there, my audience. For those of you who don't know what Urazu is, and I don't expect many of you to know what Urazu is, Urazu is actually this golden monkey that Saiyans, which is a race of aliens, turn into upon seeing the moon. Now, this is in Dragon Ball Z, but for some reason, in the movie, they thought it exceptional to turn what is a character into, let's just say a werewolf form, So it'd be like if the Wolfman all of a sudden was like himself, and then he heard a story about the Wolfman doing something, and it was like, what? It's like, but he is the Wolfman. It's like, no, that doesn't make sense. But no, it's not supposed to. It's fuck you. That's why it matters.
Well,
8 feet tall. And also, I want to point out that Urazus are like some 100-foot tall apes.
Right, yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Reduced to an 8-foot chipmunk in this film.
That's what he
Like,
looks like.
the only, I really don't have an issue
Mike, can
with
you
the
look
story.
up the budget of that movie, please?
Yeah, I got it.
I really don't have that.
$30 million
Yeah.
to make that film.
And it got like 58 million.
Yeah,
I
they
believe,
made
back.
58 million. I mean, technically, it's a success.
That's not a success, actually. That's bare. That's
That's
still.
rushing to see it because Dragon Ball's in it.
Oh, I remember the commercial. I hate to say it. We're going to break off subject for a second, but I remember the commercial. Do you guys remember that commercial?
I remember
And that
the
kid,
trailer.
that one kid that was like, oh my god, if you love Dragon Ball Z, you have to see this. I was like, that kid has never seen Dragon Ball Z in his life.
It pissed me off so much.
Because it was trying to build the hype, like, what? Let me see it. And
No,
then-
I knew it was bad when we all went to see the midnight showing, and they're like, there is no midnight showing. That's when we knew it was bad. But it was bad because Fox made it bad. This was Fox running out of time. They bought the rights to Dragon Ball Z, I believe, in 2006. They bought it around I remember the time of the Olympics, when the Olympics was in China. That was a big, huge announcement. That's when they bought the franchise. But they never did anything with it. So this was kind of like their last-ditch effort to try and make some money off of the name. And, you know, they hired the guy who did, I believe it's the director who did Final Destination 3.
Wow, what? Wow.
Yeah.
What a guy, huh?
Yeah, and Justin Chadwin said he was reading Dragon Ball on set to be inspired, you know, to act like Goku would. He must have been reading the wrong manga.
I would assume so.
So let's analyze that. You're an actor.
Yes.
You're on set, which is your job.
Yeah.
And you are reading the
Why not?
script on your job. This isn't like Man on the Moon with Jim Carrey, where you're like telling people to tell yourself, "Hey, call me Andy. Call me Andy. Don't call me Jim." You're like,
Or
I
Blade.
need to be Goku, so let me read this on set.
So I am Goku.
I am Goku.
You know, Wesley Snipes makes people call him Blade when he's on set. Hey, you laugh. I don't care. I'm fine with that. I'd be like, yeah, sure, Blade. Not one, because that's badass, but two, I'd be like, keep the man in character.
It's true. It's true.
And you know why the third one was bad? Because they refused to call him Blade on set. And he was upset the whole movie.
He was just high. He didn't speak it out.
I think it was-
a true story.
Yeah.
Blade 3 was filmed around him.
Yeah, it was. It really was.
Like he
Ryan
fell
Reynolds
asleep
the
on one of the things, and they had to like edit up a bunch of
No, Mike's absolutely right. Blade 3 was made around him. That's why there's so much Ryan Reynolds screen time and, you know, and Triple H screen time, which I don't know why Triple H is in anything because he's a terrible actor.
silver teeth.
Oh my god.
Yeah. God, I mean, that makes you just think, are you like that much did the other vampires rip your fangs out? Because I don't know any other way that would happen, so you must have been like, you know.
Because it's Triple H. You know?
Yeah.
Right?
What do we got?
But, you know, I'm looking at more of this. You know, James Wong wrote the last draft of this for the
Of
script.
course he did.
And, you know, he was such a big Dragon Ball fan, citing its airy and unrestrained story. And I'm thinking, you're a fan, but you're decided to piss all over.
No, you know what? It doesn't make sense. I think they're absolutely lying. We'll just call the real sharks will call it for what it is. They are lying. Whatever they said, they were lying because they were like, we're fans of Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, clearly. Because in hindsight now, when we see the piece of crap that you guys pumped out, yeah, you were big fans.
So going over the character selections in the film, we already went over Goku,
Yamcha.
Yamcha.
They had freaking Yamcha in
and
there.
Bulma. So how would you guys?
Bulma didn't even have blue hair.
No, she had
wait a minute.
a streak.
She had a
Oh.
streak.
Oh,
Just one streak.
sorry.
Yeah, I
Sorry.
know. I had to correct you on that.
Sorry.
Because it was such a big difference.
I know, because that's so huge.
And plus, you know, she had guns.
She had guns. Yep.
Well,
She actually did have
in
guns.
defense, she actually did have guns in
Yeah,
Dragon
She
Ball.
never
Super.
used them.
No, she did.
She shot
Did-
Goku. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, she shot Goku once, but yeah, she used guns. And man,
But then you have Grandpa Gohan,
Yeah.
kind of just being a whatever. Type of
Yeah,
character.
like,
she kind of, you know what?
don't play
In defense
Grandpa.
of the movie, he is sort of a downplayed character. Like he really in the anime, he's really like you don't care about.
Grandpa Gohan.
Yeah, he comes back every like
once in a while. He fights Gohan, Goku in I can't remember what season it is, but they do fight. They actually fight. He's in the bunny mask.
But it's like it's a one episode. He's like dating some like hell demon chick.
Goku sees him and misses him and everything. It's like, Grandpa, I missed you.
I missed you. But this is the only time I'm gonna ever see you again.
Yeah.
I mention you.
And see, that goes back to the pure nature of Goku as a character compared to how they basically made an adaptation of. They threw up an adaptation of a good-natured character. I mean, if you want to keep a character pure of heart and everything, you don't want to tarnish him with society, which is what they did by putting him in school. Like this idea of like bullies can make you feel the same way about Goku from the show.
Well, let's talk about the bully. The bully's name was Casey, and his actual name is Texas Battle. And I kid you not, that is his actual name. Yeah. Texas Battle.
Wait, in real life?
In real life, that is literally his name.
This guy better have a whole long... Does he have a big filmography?
Let me look.
Here's the funny thing about that guy. He was actually in Final Destination 3. He was the jock who got his like head smashed.
Maybe that's how he was able to be a part of this movie.
Maybe.
He basically blackmailed James Wong saying, I was in this movie.
Or James Wong blackmailed him.
Oh! That's a good point.
You blackmailed me. Wink.
He kind of does. He's done...
Well, regardless, what was one of the biggest insults of this adaptation I found was the idea of, like, let's change what we know. It went back to Last Airbender. Remember the Last Airbender movie? How they basically, you had the... Mike, did you happen to catch the Last Airbender movie?
Yeah, once.
Did you like it?
No, not at all.
Did you watch the anime?
I watched most of the anime, yeah.
Okay. So, what was the biggest problem with the movie, you would say?
The bending.
The bending? How they had to dance and everything to do that?
The earthbending sequence where 10 people dance to pick up one single, like, boulder is just ridiculous.
And that's how I felt about the Kamehameha being used to heal people.
Oh my god!
That's the world's most dangerous key blast.
No, I was internally screaming at that point.
God.
I'm like,
at that point, I was like, wow, I wasted, like, how long is this film?
If I had hair, I would have been ripping it out in chunks.
Well, that's why you don't have hair now.
I don't have hair, ladies and gentlemen.
He saw the Dragon Ball.
I'm going to be on the majority on all of this. But I actually didn't mind that.
What? You didn't mind the Kamehameha healing?
I did not mind it because I understand that they're trying to not go specifically in the world of the anime. They were trying to do it in live action. I understand that. There was just minor points of, like even when Goku finds like these ancient gi, which is basically the gi that he should have been wearing.
Yeah.
And it's like, which is hilarious because it's like baggy. And it made him look stupid because he's like a shorter actor, and he's like having these big old pants.
Yeah, Justin Chadwin is no Goku.
No, his hair is okay.
No, his hair didn't even look like Goku.
I don't even know why he was picked, but you know what though? At least he was, and I know so many people are gonna be like, when I say this, but I'm actually happy he wasn't Asian.
Really?
Yeah, really. You guys are. I know. You guys are all shocked. I know. The whole panel. You know why? Because Goku's a fucking alien, so it don't matter what race he is.
I'm not too shocked.
I never understood that.
No, I mean, I can.
Yamcha's one thing, but if you want to say like Goku has to be Asian, I'm like, why? He could be black for all you care.
It doesn't matter. You could be just like
That's why I say Superman. That's like when people are like, upset because they thought about making Superman black. I was like, who cares? I was like, why not? He's been white for how long? So why not change it up? Who cares? Black Superman? Hell yeah.
By the way, he comes down like the Silver Surfer, just all in metallic. I am Goku.
That's another terrible adaptation. But basically, Dragon Ball Evolution, and as we get to the final act, the final battle, which you will not care about, my audience, basically you see Justin Chadwin turn into an 8-foot Uzaru, which is supposed to be 100 feet, He does it without no moon, guys. There's no moon.
There's a blood moon, though.
There was no moon.
It was supposed to be the big thing.
Yeah, it was a blood moon.
He was 8 feet tall, guys. I mean, I want to drop the mic with like how weak my hand is becoming right now because of how upset this movie makes me.
See, and that again, why did they pan out to make it seem like it was a Godzilla film from like the early 19th centuries or something?
If they would have spliced a scene of Godzilla, or even had a guy in a Godzilla suit, that would have made more sense.
It was almost like Power Rangers, almost.
Did you guys know Gamera is in Dragon Ball? Yeah, the monster.
Really?
Yes, there is a part where Roshi is actually like, because he can't fly the Nimbus, remember? Because he's not pure as heart. He goes, I'll fly the Gamera. And Gamera comes and he jumps on Gamera's back. And Gamera, like, spins him to his house. I'm not joking. You can look this up.
Wow.
Master Roshi rides Gamera, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That is right, yeah.
They also had Big Van Vader in the Dragon Ball because he's I forget he plays Kuroshi, the guy who gets like murdered by Cell. He's supposed to be Vader because he has that big tusk type mask. That's what Big Van Vader used to wear in Japan.
Sick mask, by the way.
Yeah,
yeah, like oh my god. So yeah, that was the final act. I didn't mind it. I really wish that they would have just shot this.
Yeah, the whole movie, you didn't mind the last 5 minutes. That's terrible.
It was, oh god, it was bad. The Kamehameha,
Well, I guess when you go through, I guess it's like when you basically eat shit, and basically there's that last piece left, you're like, might as well, you know?
Well, you're like, I'm already got a mouthful.
And I guess for you, it was like that last piece was the best part because it was the end.
I'm gonna pick this up, look over my left, look over my right, and just pop it in my mouth and be like,
that was Dragon Ball Evolution. I mean, but I don't know. You've heard of, I mean, Mike, how did you feel about Dragon Ball Evolution? Because Mike is not, you know, he's here on the panel, as everyone knows. He's not exactly a Dragon Ball fan.
I was a fan when I was a lot younger.
Yeah, but you know, Akira Toriyama's killed it for you, so it's okay.
I would say that the overindulgence in the power spectrum is what killed it most for me, and the fact that the story is just so bare.
We're talking about the movie, not the show.
I know. The movie, I just remember being extremely bored the entire time and just like, when the fuck is this over? Like, Jesus.
There wasn't a lot of fighting, which was like
it was all
story, and then you get like a payoff.
You can get away with that if you're Mortal Kombat.
But Mortal Kombat was able to do it really well.
Mortal Kombat did it well.
In hindsight, yeah, but at first people were like, no.
This is shit. I'm just like, you're talking to the guy that loves
it. Oh, dude, when Mortal Kombat came out, let's just be honest, everybody. All the kids loved it. Everybody that was a critic hated it.
True. Yes.
True.
But again, you're talking to the guy that likes Super Mario Brothers and still does.
God.
And
I like Mortal Kombat. We've discussed this on our from Mario Bros to Wizards, man. You know, I love Mortal Kombat. I think Mortal Kombat's a great film. I thought it was great when it came out. I thought it was. Think it's still good now for what it is. I mean, it's the best hindsight video game movie I've seen in the world. Not of all time. I've said Wizard is, but you know.
But then how do you feel about like? This was supposed to be the first out of like 3 to 5 movies
for Dragon Ball. Yeah,
which they were saying that they really.
This is a franchise. It's not even a franchise because it can't even get picked up off the ground. But this wasn't supposed to be like This is actually the 3rd time they've tried this. America. I mean, it was done in like I think it's Korea. Then they did it in China, and then they tried it in America. But all 3 movies are terrible. It's the closest you will ever get to seeing Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Evolution-esque is in a movie called The Matrix 3. When Neo is fighting Agent Smith, that is the closest we will ever get to Dragon Ball Z. And if you like that, hey, petition of the studios to make a movie like that. I mean, because that's the closest. But in hindsight, think about that scene alone. I mean, how much did we all enjoy that from The Matrix 3? I mean, I liked it, but I don't think I could watch a whole movie of these guys CGI flying through the air in the rain like that. I mean, all they didn't do was Kai blasts.
Yeah, and then, it's tough to do, and I don't know how they were going to make 3. They wanted to really make one with, like I was saying, with, I think Frieza was one, and Broly were like 2 of the adaptations.
Really?
They thought were going to be a lock.
Oh God, I can just see
a live action Frieza.
I don't know how well that would be, but like from the end of Dragon Ball Evolution, it kind of seemed that like the next one would still have to deal with
Piccolo.
Because
But Piccolo probably would have been his partner after that.
you know what? You might be right because you never know if he actually changed into the good Piccolo or not.
I'm for it. Make it.
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I'd go see it.
No.
You guys want to see Vegeta as much as I do.
No.
I mean, when I saw this, I had to start drinking from like the first minute.
It kind of.
I knew that this movie was going to be, and I kept on drinking. And
it didn't get better.
It did not get better.
You drunk, you pansy.
I had to drink because I knew if I did not drink, I'd be screaming at my TV. Oh,
I
dear
thought about the movie
God,
The Spirit.
why?
Well, I've seen it.
Egg on my face.
Oh my God, that movie's terrible. That's another terrible. It comes down to adaptations, and
it really does.
It's really easier to. This kind of shows too. It's a lot easier to adapt a American comic than a manga.
And you know what? And I'm gonna go off of your
because
point.
even Ghost in the Shell was terrible.
It was.
Eon Flux?
Eon Flux was terrible.
I thought Ghost in the Shell was okay.
Yeah, but critically, it still was bad from manga, like adaptation-wise.
That argument that you made earlier, where it's like this character, spoilers, wasn't Asian when she is alive. Now that she's like a half robot person and she's white, it's a critical controversy, even though it shouldn't be because she's a robot.
She's like an android. There's no race.
Yeah, but that was a big controversy going into the movie, and then critics panned it for that reason, so audiences can go see it. But it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not a good film, but it was okay.
Some people do consider Ghost in the Shell the best adaptation that's been around, but that's
a low bar.
That's a low bar. That's a low bar. I mean, we've talked about that. It's a curse. It's a curse like video game movies. Everyone's always said this has been a curse. You can't make a good video game movie. You can't make a good anime movie or real time. I mean, look at Attack on Titan.
Or even what? I'm gonna bring up Death Note. Netflix's version.
Oh God, right?
And
Well, even the Japanese version is terrible.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. The Japanese version is not terrible. It's just not meant for Western audiences.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
The Japanese version was actually decent enough to watch. But when Netflix,
it is though.
When Netflix got their hands on Death Note, they decided to whitewash this completely.
I get what you're saying. You didn't like
Washington.
He didn't like L being black.
Yeah. You didn't like that. You didn't like that?
I like that they made.
You didn't like. I bet you were mad because the only aspect of L that he was sitting upright on the couch. Yes. That was the only thing that made him L. Was he sat weird on the couch? He did things weird.
He did weird things.
Weird. As the character, he was not L at all, though.
No, I actually liked how they made L black. That was the only part that I liked.
Save yourself.
No, not to save myself. Freaking dick. But I mean, from start to beginning of Death Note was completely terrible. When when he met
Misa,
and he screamed like a little girl instead of accepting it. Oh, I kind of know who.
Yeah, the American version of Death Note is just overall bad. There ain't even a reason to even watch it.
No.
Well, I mean, who knows? There's still the Ryan Reynolds production of Akira that's still.
Yeah, it's on hold.
Still on hold.
But
they're even discussing too, and I'm glad we're all bringing this up. Speed Racer 2. There's just talks about making Speed Racer. Yes, they've actually started a draft for Speed Racer 2. Mm-hmm. We are one of the only podcasts that say Speed Racer is a great adaptation. But, sometimes audiences get lost on it, too. Because
people don't... I mean, it's another thing where they're, like, looking at the anime, right? And how it was...
I don't think people looked at that anime.
No.
Do you not think so? Because, like,
no. I think people who went and saw Speed Racer, I guarantee you, 50% of them had never watched the cartoon. Because if they did, they wouldn't have thought... I mean... Again, I'm going to backtrack one time and save myself and say the animation for the races is terrible. But the overall story of Speed Racer is Speed Racer. There's nothing about that movie that isn't Speed Racer. It was like the Green Lantern movie. We said, we're like, if you hate that, you hate Green Lantern. If you hate that movie, you hate Speed Racer. Because that is Speed Racer's origin.
Yep.
Everything in it, from Racer X being his brother to his dad not, being like, so you can't race, you can't do all this to the monkey. They had a monkey and a kid in the movie. It was freaking Speed Racer. I mean, they even had the weird, in the weird karate scenes.
I love the karate.
There was a lot of... But even still, they went beyond that. Like, for example, when they tried to recruit Speed into that corporation, he's like, let me tell you who really wants Speed. It wasn't the racers. It was the corporation for the tires and all that. And he's talking about how that's really what it's about. It's about money. It's about really... That's what power is. That was a good scene. And that was a good setup for the movie. But overall, people just hated it because they were like, this is crap. I don't think a lot of people ever saw the cartoon. Because I think it was kind of
I saw memes of the cartoon.
The cartoon was barely on to begin with. I mean, I remember the cartoon being on early in the morning or late at night.
Like 2 a.m.
Yes.
30, you would have to be catching.
Don't get me wrong.
Like Astro Boy or
I
something.
love Speed Racer. And that movie was Speed Racer. You got something, Mike?
Oh, no.
Have you ever seen Speed Racer?
I have. I actually enjoyed it. It's a wild film that's it's unlike anything you've ever seen.
Exactly.
It's 100% committed to just we're going to do something completely original and weird and strange, and it's going to alienate the audience, and so many people are not going to like it just off the bat, but we're going to do it.
Have you ever seen Speed Racer?
The cartoon? No.
No, okay.
Yeah, see, now, and it's
Go
like
home,
all those things where you
watch the cartoon.
Is it available somewhere?
Yeah, you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm sure you can find it.
I think you can, but it only lasted for one season.
Yeah.
And it's 52 episodes. I mean, from a 52 episode season to make a movie.
Well, it's anime. Anime goes on.
Well, no, actually, for the 52 episodes, the movie did it pretty well. The story-wise.
I was going to say, story-wise.
Because it took 52 episodes to explain that Racer X is Speed's brother.
Right.
And that was the whole kind of point and the premise of it. And Speed even goes on a long, huge race. It's like 15 episodes.
These episodes were 24 minutes. I had to pull up the times for these episodes. 24 minutes.
That's long for an episode.
Half-an-hour
Yeah.
shows. I mean,
that's long for a cartoon.
It is. I mean, well, a lot of shows went for
20 minutes
it's
usually.
Really more
20 minutes plus commercials.
Yeah.
So that usually lengthens out to a half an hour.
Minutes,
So yeah, that's a good time slot there.
But I mean, even for the movie to go off of 52 episodes to be able to create a movie just from one season. I mean, if Speed Racer lasted for 3 seasons, they would have had a lot of content. I mean, okay, what do we want to do? In what season?
But see, I don't even think audiences even got it. They didn't care. It's so many more people knew Dragon Ball. That's why everyone hated it. And not many people, I don't think, knew Speed Racer, which is why everyone hated that movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm actually really happy you thought it was good, because I was like, oh god, I hope he doesn't think we're insane.
No, it's an enjoyable film for some people. I wouldn't recommend it to the average person.
Yeah.
They'd be like, this movie is way too wacky and weird and off the
I don't like the special effects. I won't lie. I don't like the racing scenes.
I feel like they're intentionally cartoony. They know what they're doing and they're trying to kind of...
Yeah.
It's kind of not. It was for their times. It was that weird CGI.
It looked like Hot Wheels. Do you remember the Hot Wheels CGI movies that came out? That's what it looked like. Hot Wheels.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I was working at Blockbuster at the time, and I just remember all those Hot Wheels films that would come out. Yeah. I was like, the animation looks like Hot Wheels, dude.
They were bad. It was was this made in the late 70s?
But the actors in that movie,
Sean Goodman,
the plot was great.
Neil Hirsch.
I mean, God, sounds so familiar, right? It's like Caligula all over again, guys.
Oh my God!
You worked in the other one.
I'm on a roll tonight with some of these. Just name dropping. Give me a call, Michael McDowell. But for real, though, I just think sometimes adaptations are not so much a hit. It's a hit and miss, but it also depends on the audience. If there is an audience here for some of them.
But then there's the audience, the casual people, like Dragon Ball Z. I will say this. For those type of films like Dragon Ball, like Speed Racer, like these films that are, and even Green Lantern, even though I'm not a fan of that, they picture that and they go, Green Lantern, oh, this is going to be shit. So they already have, this is going to be horrible, let's watch it. Green Lantern had the same effects of it being, the special effects, trash. Shitty effects. People write the film off. It's bad. It's horrible.
I disagree there. I didn't think it was that bad.
The Speed Racer, they were like, this is wacky, stupid. Why does it look like Spy Kids? I don't want to watch this. And then they just trash the film. So I think a lot of effects, rather than big names, people don't care about. Because like you said, John Goodman, they had a lot of good characters in there.
Yeah.
But I think, like you were saying, Robert, it's a combination of people not watching the source material where it came from. and caring enough about it, and then or watching too much of the source material and thinking they're going to do a 1-to-1 ratio in the live action instead of making their own adaptation. And if it's not like spot on, I will say in defense, like a Dragon Ball, then they're going to just trash it completely.
What do you guys think is the best adaptation you've ever seen of something?
Oh,
I'll just go first, and I'm sure I'll kill it for a few of you. Lord of the Rings.
I was just about to say that, you asshole.
That's pretty damn good. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: adaptation from the books or
Well,
the 70s
Harry Potter.
cartoon?
You just stole mine.
I stole squids. I knew squids.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter is a good adaptation.
Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
Ooh. The only one I will fight you about, Steve, is the only one I will agree that is not that great is Deathly Hallows Part 1. The rest of them, though, I think is a great adaptation.
Yeah, like the Prisoner of Azkaban was like almost right on.
Right on. But
I'm a Chamber of Secrets man myself.
I remember Rob loves Chamber of Secrets and Prisoner of Azkaban. But like you said, Sorcerer's Stone.
That was the flagship. They had to get that one right.
That was the flagship, yes, but that actually still held true to the source material.
Well, regardless, they had different directors for almost every film, I believe it was.
Well, a couple.
Yeah.
Columbus did the first two, and I think Dave Yates did the last 4 or 5.
Yeah, but still, they still kept the adaptation pretty good. I mean, it's because usually when another director will take over, he's usually like, no, I don't want to do anything the previous guy did. I want to do completely different. But what's up?
Alfonso Cuarón, the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah,
he was like, we're going to throw this shit away and we're going to start fresh.
There is some aspects when they did change directors that were for the better.
Yes,
I will agree.
I will agree.
But it was only because I thought like it advanced with their age. I thought it advanced with the timing of the film. Like as the kids got older, the film kind of gradually became more mature itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I mean, even from getting from practical effects like the first two to more of like serious CGI effects in the next ones. Yeah.
4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
But they're totally not like other directors out there that do like they don't even take the source material and they go with their own stuff. You know,
Wrong.
But,
Willie Scott.
Yeah. But I think so. I think the Lord of the Rings. I had just bought the original trilogy of the 1970s. Like I'm talking about The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and Return of the King.
Amazing.
Those ones were they're so underrated. It's like a crime.
Ralph Bakshi.
The original animated movies is what you're talking about.
I'm talking about the original.
The original Lord of the Rings, I think I just love it because it's a Ralph Bakshi work.
Oh yeah,
it is,
and that's the only reason I think I like it.
That's why I had to say the original animated, but not the new one.
There's so much continuity changes. Like you guys know The Hobbit. We've went over that before. The animated, the songs and everything. The Lord of the Rings.
Good adaptation movie, terrible adaptation.
Yeah, terrible, right? And then they do the Return of the King. They end it, and then they take the one. Peter Jackson's like, let me watch those, and he takes some of the things, just flips it around, makes one of the great Fellowship of the Ring. Name another film that's that better that you've seen from a book. Even Harry Potter, I would put it over Sorcerer's Stone. As far as how long the film is going,
Beastmaster.
Oh my God! I actually forgot about that movie.
Just kidding. No.
Wow.
No, I don't really know. Lord of the Rings is a masterpiece.
Yeah, Fellowship of the Ring.
Even over Star Wars, I would say it's a masterpiece. Over the terms of music and in terms of it holds more candles over Star Wars in a great many perspectives.
Standing the test of time.
But I don't know. I mean, that's hard. I mean, I don't know. I know Squid's gonna say probably like Hunger Games or something.
I've never read the books for the Hunger Games. My sister.
I know. I don't. Gonna get mad.
My sister has the books.
Ender's Game. Oh, dude, Ender's Game was a terrible adaptation.
I actually,
God, that poor book.
I watched the movie before I read the book because
Which one?
Ender's Game.
Oh, okay.
The whole reason why I wanted to see Ender's Game was because of Harrison Ford was in it.
I was gonna just say
Harrison Ford for like 20 minutes.
I know.
I think they paid him like $7,000 a minute or something in that film or something like that.
That's the film that pushed him over to the highest paying actor at the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, we're going to pay you this much. We're going to put you on the poster.
Minute.
We're going to push you up like the thing.
Minute.
And he was like in there as like hey, I'm here.
Yeah. He was nobody in the movie, really.
I didn't know how long he was going to be in the movie. Because I saw the trailer. I'm thinking, okay, this might be good. And then I watched the movie. I'm thinking, okay, I'm kind of
Wrong.
bored. But then I read the book and I saw so many like inaccuracies and just a lot of stuff that left out. I mean, my God, this movie is a complete terrible piece of shit.
Yeah.
It's a piece of shit, though.
What, the movie?
The movie.
Is it a piece of shit, though?
I wouldn't give it like shit level. I would give it like mediocrity.
Yeah, like disappointing.
Like, you know, like Dangerous Minds mediocrity. You know, it's like this movie a rip off of To Sir with Love with Sidney Poitier, and then Freedom Riders ripped off. They made the PG-13 version of Dangerous Minds. Although I think Dangerous Minds was PG-13 to begin with.
But edgier because of the times.
I don't even think Dangerous Minds is that edgy.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's
a little bit.
I think if it wasn't for Coolio doing that Gangster's Paradise song, I don't think it'd be that edgy. You can put any song behind that, it won't be that edgy.
Okay.
But you know, there's a lot of movies that have been made that are actually or from adaptations from books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ian Fleming, even
some of them just aren't good.
No, that is true.
A great adaptation. Another one I would say is Gone with the Wind. So another good adaptation. You know?
But you could just put that in the same category as another film we just covered in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
That's
debatable.
That's debatable.
That's debatable.
It's not even close on like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, because Jurassic Park, there is some differences between book and movie, and I think the movie actually, like The Mist, makes parts of the book better. Because the movie The Mist, for people who hate that movie and who've ever read the book is actually ends very stupidly. They drive into the mist. Spoilers. Yeah. In the movie, you know, for those of you who haven't seen it, spoilers, kills everybody, and then the army comes to save him. So it's kind of like
don't they stop at a motel or something?
No, he stops in the middle of the road, then kills everybody, and
no, in the book he stops and they kind of like wait for something.
Yeah, then they just drive off into the mist. That's all it says. In the book, though, they actually have an ending, and even Stephen King said himself, Stephen King actually told him, if I would have thought of that, I would have written that.
I would have written it. Yeah.
I would have written it that way.
Great. They did it better.
So sometimes, you know, directors can make adaptations better. But that is actually going to be this episode for the Real Sharks Podcast. I'm your host, Rob, with Steve, Billy,
we'll see you guys later,
and Mike.
Peace.
And we will catch you guys on the flip side. Have a great night.